January is always a surprisingly chaotic month, and somehow I always forget that until it comes around. I expect a somewhat low-key month after the chaos of the holidays, but it isn't all that low-key. Recovering from said holidays, catching up on stuff that lapsed due to those holidays, normal responsibilities, and things like bad weather all combine to create a month that is more chaotic than calming. Even so, my month was surprisingly productive on the games front. I didn't wind up with a huge list of endless games this month, but do have a number of completed games in January. It's a good start to the year for me, and while I know I probably won't be able to keep this pace up, it at least makes one aspect of 2026 that actually went well so far. So let's take a look at what I played in January 2026. I was able to complete 4 games in January. Yes, that's right, 4 different games. Well, one was a game that I started before this month, the others were all games that I started this month. Most of them weren't terribly long, but still getting through 4 games makes me quite happy. The first completed game is Goblin vs. Princess. At the end of last year, I received an email offering a review key for the idle game Goblin vs. Princess. I hadn't heard of it before, but it looked interesting and I tried it out. In general, I enjoyed my time with the game. It was a fun idle game that actually had graphics and wasn't just bars increasing or simple animations repeating endlessly. It's probably my favorite idle game that I've played so far. That said, I did still have some things about the game that I didn't like quite as much. Some systems aren't super well explained and the tone of the game felt a bit uneven. It was mainly humorous, but it also veered from that to fan servicey and even kind of gross at times too, which were the ones that I didn't like the most. I bumped this review up to the top of my review queue since I did get the key for the game for free. I will put a link in the video and in the description, so feel free to take a look if you're interested. The second completed game is Hexen. I went into the second half of the Heretic Hexen collection expecting to like Hexen a lot more than I wound up liking it. While there are certain things that did feel like an improvement over Heretic, there were many things that I didn't like as well. The level design felt needlessly complex and involved far too much backtracking. The class system was cool, but being limited to only 4 weapons wasn't quite as enjoyable as the arsenal you were given in Heretic. There were also far too many enemies that were just annoying to try to defeat. I also played through the 2 expansions that came with the collection as well, Death Kings of the Dark Citadel and Vestiges of Grandeur. If you enjoyed Hexen quite a bit, this is more Hexen without any real story. For me, I wound up getting tired of the expansions much quicker here than I did with Heretics. With all that said, I wouldn't call Hexen a bad game, but it was definitely not quite as good as I was expecting it to be with as much as I liked Heretic. Hexen definitely tries to take things a step forward, but for every step forward, there was also a bit of a stumble as well in my opinion. It's good and I did enjoy it, but I definitely tired of this game quicker than I did Heretic and felt like there were more things that I just didn't enjoy quite as much. The third completed game was Pigment. This was a very short, free-to-play platformer game. It took maybe 15 minutes to get through total. Due to how short the game is, I won't do a review video of it, but I will give some thoughts here. Pigment is a platformer that deals with a world that loses its color and your character goes off to try to find a way to restore that color. Pigment is beautiful, and I love the art style of the game. The controls are also pretty tight and fun to play with, even though this is just going to be your pretty standard platformer gameplay. Even if it was pretty simple, I did have a lot of fun playing through it. It's just that there isn't much to play through. If you're wanting to kill 15 minutes, it's worth checking out this free-to-play game. Just don't be expecting more than like 1 level worth of content. And the last completed game is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This is an old school point and click adventure style game. By old school, I mean ridiculously difficult if you don't use some sort of guide to get through it. The number of things you can miss, the random dialogue choices you have to make to avoid fights, and the obtuse nature of the solutions can all be a bit much. With a guide, there were still places I had to jot down a note or try something multiple times. It also feels like a game that's playtime is dependent on you wandering around and not knowing what to do, or not being able to progress in the game and having to restart. Using a guide will definitely make you get through this a lot quicker than if you try it blind. Personally, I couldn't imagine trying it blind, but even using a guide did feel a little unsatisfying as well. Even though I completed 4 games this month, I was still able to have 2 story games this month as well. One of these has been on here for a number of months now, while the other is a new game to the list. First story game is Yakuza 0. This felt like a very good month of story progression in Yakuza 0. I started out the month in Chapter 7, but ended at Chapter 11. This meant I was able to move at a much quicker pace story-wise than any month previously. Hopefully this means that I can make my way through the remaining story at a solid pace, but I'm not sure how quick that will be. Since I made solid progress this month, I might stick Yakuza 0 at a higher priority to get through for the rest of the story. I am enjoying my time with Yakuza 0, but I also wouldn't call it my favorite game. In part because it has a bit too much to do, and not all of it is all that compelling. A good part is, but some things are just a little too grindy or off the wall. It's a game that has a very weird combination. It has a theme that vacillates between super serious, goofy, and the way too repetitive. Considering all this, I feel like the Yakuza series is very much an acquired taste and definitely won't be for everyone. The second store game is 9 Years of Shadow. This is a Metroidvania game that I started in January. So far, I've really enjoyed my time with this game. It only has a mostly positive on Steam, but I find it far more enjoyable than that rating might lead you to think. You play as a woman named Europa who sets off to try to break a curse that stole color from the world. You believe that the origin of the curse is in an ancient castle, so you enter said castle to end the curse or die trying. While I have enjoyed it quite a bit, it is a little weird in some ways. It seems to have a focus on art and music, which is interesting and a theme that I don't feel is in games like this a lot. The whole idea of bringing color back to the world, the save points are pianos in the castle, and NPCs are largely artists and musicians. All these kind of add to that theme of art and music. It of course also has Greek mythology references, as your armors are named after Greek gods. So while I'm not entirely sure about how the theming all connects, it could tie together in the narrative at some point, I have liked this game quite a bit and look forward to progressing more. I'm not really sure why this game is viewed so negatively. I haven't really run across anything that I'm like, oh, I understand why people wouldn't like this. To me, it's been a pretty fun game. It could be a little bit on the short side. I know I started this game kind of near the end of the month, and I think that as my save progression tracker has me at about 50% already, so it may just not be the longest of games, and that might be why people don't like it, but I haven't really noticed anything else that has led me to be like, oh, I can see why people dislike this game. Moving on from story games, I'll be focusing on games that I call endless games. These are games that don't have clear-cut endings. They can be online PvP, arcade, sandbox, creative, simulation, or party games. There are games here that are monthly regulars and also games that will hop off and on the list depending on the month. I only had 4 entries in this category for January, and all of them are regulars to the list. I was more focused on story games this month than I was on endless games, so it made for a fairly small list. The month was also busy, so we didn't have any random choices that we played together as a family some nights. First endless game is Fortnite. We are still in Fortnite Chapter 7, Season 1, and will be for quite a while. I don't think that the season changes until March, so we still have February that will be in this season. I don't really know what I think about the season overall. I don't dislike it, but I don't find it particularly memorable either. It's had quite a few little extras like the sword from Kill Bill, the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and now South Park, but none of these have been too exciting for me. The South Park crossover is probably the most substantial, and the Stick of Truth can really shift a game in your direction if you get it, but it's not as interesting as some crossovers. Fortnite has definitely made many a decision that I haven't enjoyed recently, and some of it is reflected in the season, like ranked rewards. But most of my complaints are regarding store and locker aspects of Fortnite and not necessarily Chapter 7 Season 1 itself, even if it isn't my favorite season by any means. Second endless game is Marvel Rivals. Deadpool arrived in January and gave a substantial boost to Marvel Rivals. Deadpool is a character that can be any role in the game, which feels like a very fitting Deadpool kind of thing. With the new season also came a greatly expanded hero progression system. In some ways this is pretty awesome, but it did kind of change my system on who I'm playing. I've been playing a lot more Emma Frost this month since she's probably one of my favorite tanks. I did also try out Vanguard Deadpool, but it was in a game that our team was decimated in, so it was kind of a hard match to figure out if I liked him or not. I just didn't really get much of a chance to explore what he could do without just getting murdered really quick like the rest of my team was. Beyond that, I haven't really been playing much of anything but Vanguard. My plan is to maybe expand who I play when I do play Duelist or Strategist, since maxing out a character's progression will just take way too long to just focus in on one and then move on after I'm done. So it's going to change how I do it, and I am interested in trying a variety of characters, so we're going to try to expand out a little bit in the future. Third endless game is Stardew Valley. As usual, I play Stardew Valley both solo on my modded farm and also with family on our co-op farm. On my solo farm, I was able to get access to the Wizard's upgrade book for my farm and was able to build the Earth Obelisk. I was pretty happy to be able to get access to this, but now it will just be making enough money and resources to build the rest of the obelisks, which will make travel even easier. On our co-op farm, we hit year 3 and received the Iridium statue from Grandpa. I was also able to max out all my stats and started working toward the newly added bonus skill levels. Other than that, we're continuing to make money to upgrade houses and continue to improve the farm. We do need to finish the old JoJo Mart bundle to get the movie theater and also finish working on Willie's boat to have access to Ginger Island, but I don't know how close we are to those being finished up. And the last endless game is Warframe. I did play some Warframe as well during January. Some of this was just playing with my kids working through more levels on a day off that they had in January. I did also play a little on my own in order to work through some of the Nightwave quests. I didn't play a lot of Warframe last month, but I still did play some and enjoyed my time with the game. I'm changing the last category games I talk about a little. In the past, I called these my trophy games, but this limited it to games that I was playing on the PlayStation, since that's the only system that really has trophies. I'm changing the name of this section to achievement games. This category will focus on games that I'm basically working on to get the remaining achievements of. So at some point, games from the story or endless categories could find their way here if that's what I'm more focused on. The main reason why I decided to do this is because I kept only having one game in this category, and I wanted to be able to have the opportunity to have more than one game in here. This didn't really work for this month because I still only have one, but that's my thought, is to kind of make this category have at least a little bit more of a presence in the list. And the only achievement game for this month is Yeast Origin. I was able to defeat the boss that I ended on last month and had to work through a bit of a difficult section through a number of the levels. I found myself dying every once in a while on my journey between the save spots, so I had to make sure to level up a few times to get strong enough to make it to the next save spot. Despite having to grind that out a little bit, I was able to make progress. I can't exactly remember where I left off the last time I played, since most of my plays were early in the month, but I might actually be at the next boss of the game. I can't fully remember, but I think that's where I ended up. And that's all I have for January. I'm super happy to knock out 4 games during the month though. I highly doubt this will be the norm, since I probably won't get to 3 shorter games in the same month, as well as finishing an extra game that I've been working on for a while. I will definitely take it as a good start to my gaming year though, so hopefully I'll still make some decent progress as the year continues. What have you been playing in January? Let me know in the comments, as it's always fun to see what others are playing and if you would recommend those games. I hope everyone had a great month and that you've been playing games that you enjoy. That's all for me though, so I'll see you in the next video.